Okay, this episode, Stuck Together. It continued exactly where you'd expect it to continue, I guess.
I don't have as much to say about this one as I do the next three, but...
Yeah, let's just get into it immediately then. So in this episode, Steven has willingly been captured by Aquamarine and Topaz, but soon he realizes that Lars is still here. God damn it.
They spent the whole last episode going, they're all free from the ship. Wait, where's Lars? Where's Lars? Lars is still on the ship!
This episode is called Lars Ruined Everything.
Or did he?
Steven tries to convince Aquamarine to let him go, as he's not part of the deal, but she doesn't care. She leaves them to the Topazes for a while, who fuse again, while Aquamarine checks the engine. Steven tries to get Lars to help get a destabilizer near the area, but via a lack of ability and or self-confidence, he can't help. Lars breaks down about how afraid he is, and Steven tells him he's also afraid, but despite everything, he's at least glad Lars is there. Eventually, this sort of conversation causes the Topaz fusion to cry, and they comment on how great their relationship is. She decides to help Lars escape, but Aquamarine shows up to stop them, and just when Topaz is about to try and poof Aquamarine with a destabilizer, she reminds her that she won't be able to go back home if she does. She stops, unfuses as they arrive somewhere, and Steven and Lars are taken away from each other.
Dun dun dun. Okay, so first off, how often do you think Aquamarine has made that I'm so moved I'm crying joke?
Probably many times.
Like, every day.
Like some of the more higher up gems. You're like, yes, we get it, that's where your gem is.
Yeah. Okay, you're mocking people having feelings, it's fine, you're ridiculously overpowered anyway.
Yeah. It's probably the normal in this weird society.
Moving from that, Lars. I went so back and forth on Lars in this episode.
I know, right?
I'd kind of suspected it. It was still sad to have it confirmed that he had run away from the party, not just been abducted on his way. Like, it wouldn't have made sense for his Ube world to end up in the garbage like it had if he'd just been abducted, but I still kind of hoped. I spent part of it going, Lars, I feel you, but deal with your shit.
Kind of.
This is maybe not the best time to be unloading on Steven when you're both being kidnapped by aliens, and at least that kid's trying to get you out.
Yeah.
I will also say, I don't care how many times it's said, it is always so important to emphasize that being brave doesn't mean not being afraid, it's being afraid, but doing the shit you gotta do anyway.
Yeah.
Steven's just like, Lars, I'm scared too. But we gotta get out of here. You know. And I have enjoyed the way they've built up Steven and Lars' friendship. And I love the impact it has on the Topazes.
Yeah.
They're just still crying, and it's just like, your friendship is so beautiful. I always want to tell me how grateful I am that I'm here for me. You know. They must run into so much pronoun confusion with those fusions that are all the same kind of gem.
Yeah.
But, and I love how fast Steven manages to befriend the Topazes. Like, I fully believe this series is going to end with Steven having befriended every gem that has ever appeared. Even Jasper at some point, even Aquamarine somehow, even Yellow Diamond is probably going to play, like, pipe organ along with Steven's ukulele at some point. You know.
Yes.
I mean, it does go from that to when they get caught escaping, Steven also tries to befriend Aquamarine, who is just disgusted.
Best part, just her look of disgust.
Keep your feelings away from me.
Yes. You know, even in a series like this, there is still something fun about just a character just, like, doesn't give a fuck about all this feeling bullshit. Like, ugh.
That's a character who is an unrepentant dick.
Yes. He's just so disgusted. It's great.
I love it.
That being said, the main thing about this episode is This to me was basically a necessary episode where we had to get through meh material at points.
Yeah, it was kind of just getting them to the meat of what's going on.
Yeah. I think mostly just how... Well, two things really. One, how obvious it is that they were going to do one last streak of Lars being Lars before he fully broke down.
They're clearly setting Lars up for something.
Yeah. But the other problem with this episode to me is that it feels a bit, like, clumsy, and we have to do this thing in this way to get to this.
Yeah.
And they didn't... I don't know, it needed something else other than how they did it exactly. Because, not just with the Lars thing, but also, to me, the Topaz thing just felt, like, really rushed. Like, it just so much, so quickly.
Yeah, I kind of wanted, like, more time spent on Topaz and less on Lars, because... I mean, I know we tried this episode by episode. It's hard to discuss these episodes without the context of the whole special, and a lot of what Lars says here is very much repeated, like, 2 episodes down the line.
Though, unlike that, we don't even get that for Topaz, who... Aquamarine and Topaz are both gone after this episode. We don't see them again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we will at some point.
Literally, like, in the last, 3 minutes, Topaz immediately can talk, is emotional, immediately willing to help, immediately willing to betray, and then immediately realizes that betraying would screw her. But it's that last one especially, I'm like, did you not think of that before? Maybe I have a reason to not betray Aquamarine.
Yeah.
For a person I just met.
Oh, it's the power of Steven's friendship is overwhelming.
Yeah. Like, they try to explain it as being sentimental, but that's pushing it a little.
I am interested in this concept that becoming a fusion makes someone more emotional, but it sounds kind of like it's homeworld propaganda more than anything else.
Probably, honestly, I think it's kind of both, I honestly think.
Or it might be putting the cart before the horse. It might be that the more emotional gems are more likely to bond strong enough to remain as a fusion.
That might be it, or... my also assumption is how often gems are fused, and fused with a specific other gem of the same gem. That might be relevant, because Topaz is a fusion, and that's like part of her power, which is why she remains a fusion.
Yeah.
But because she remained a fusion, she got to know herself, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, you're sharing a headspace with at least one other gem when you're
Whereas,
fused.
like, with the
That's gotta
rubies,
have a bond.
like... I mean, it's usually, like, a bunch of rubies that become a larger ruby, and it's also probably, like, might just be, like... They might just, like, switch which ruby is with which ruby depending on the mission, and, like, stuff like that might happen.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the theory is that, you know, like, by Homeworld's ideals, all gems of the same type are basically the same person. So it doesn't really... So, you know, like, 2 rubies fusing... It doesn't make any difference. They should be thinking and behaving in the same way. Anyway.
Literally, the only difference to Homeworld is that they might be more powerful. They might be more useful for Homeworld.
Yeah. Be bigger, stronger, more powerful, that's all the difference.
As per usual, let's go through the wacky funny things. Steven has, like, the most messed up line at the beginning, if you really think about it. I love shattering diamonds. I just want to shatter them all the time.
Like, Steven, you're overdoing it a wee bit.
Like, again, if you really think about it, it's a really messed up thing for him to just say. It's literally this little child saying, I want to murder people all the time.
Yeah, totally love serial killing. It's the best.
Speaking of which, though, the way she's, like, did the fake crying thing, why did she say, just kidding, that's my gem? I'm like, oh, thanks. You were almost hateable for a second. Now I'm just confused on why you felt the need to say that.
I saw it because she's a pretentious bitch who, like, assumes everyone is a complete idiot who has to have everything spelled out for them.
I loved before Aquamarine goes away for a while. I forget how exactly it goes, but at one point, Steven just says his opinion of her is awful, small, and mean. And I love when Topaz is steering the ship or whatever. He's literally just sitting on Lars. Just sitting on Lars' face.
Yep, just casually sit on Lars, why not?
At least I make a great seat cushion.
You're a good alien cushion, Lars. Be proud of yourself.
Yes. As another thing, when you think about it, Lars was kidnapped away from Earth because... Well, he ended up being kidnapped away from Earth because he didn't want to let people eat his food. That's basically what happened.
Yeah, his fear got him into this whole thing.
Yes. His fear of people eating his food.
Well, it was just his fear of putting himself out there and being rejected. So yeah, fear has become a pretty defining character trait for Lars, and it is very interesting how they play that out over this special.
And then we get to easily the weirdest part, where Steven's plan involves Lars taking off his pants.
Lars, take off my pants! What?
Why your pants, you weirdo? But this is a valid point.
Very legit point.
Yeah. Steven, are you being weird?
And then Lars just does not even try with the pants.
Yes, it's the laziest lasso ever.
I know Steven's plan is weird, but Lars could try somehow. Even a little, and he just does not.
No. Though, to be honest, I don't think that would work regardless. It was just too far away. I don't think that would work.
Yeah, but still.
I like how he's like, this is the one time you're gonna look on the bright side? Come on, you're always real with me about how everything sucks.
Oh.
I love Lars' line. At this point, everything is awful.
Everything is awful. Everything is cruel when you're going to homeworld.
And then he's like, he can't even try to hug him. I could try using my legs, but it might be weird.
Would be weird, but the sentiment is surely appreciated, Lars.
Though, really think about it. How do I put this? Steven and Lars' relationship, going from early episodes to now, I kinda get it. I feel like one of the things with Lars is just, he's just especially with Steven being this innocent kid, Lars is just that one person you hang around when you're young, who's around cooler, nicer people, and he's not always an asshole, and he occasionally does something remotely cool, so you're still willing to be friends for some reason or another. And then in retrospect, you're kind of he was kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I like Lars admitting that he looks up to Steven.
Yeah. Which does make sense. But what better makes sense when he goddamn has magic powers and saves everyone.
Yeah. He's a tiny little superhero.
Yes.
But it's nice that especially seeing these two male characters bonding over Steven helping Lars become more emotionally open.
Yes.
Is just such a good thing to put on children's TV. It's such a pure thing to put in children's programming.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much about Lars because of later episodes.
Oh, I have so much more to say about Lars in later episodes. So much more.
But one last thing is that, and this might go into larger issues with the series sometimes, I feel like the fact that, I think they've implied before that Lars has not always been a jerk, but they've not always done the best job of showing that in the past.
No, they've implied that him not being a jerk basically ended sometime before the show began, so we have that one flashback of him being childhood friends with Ronaldo where he wasn't as much of a jerk.
I don't know about that. He ended that friendship pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And honestly, implying nearly anything from that episode worked is probably not true.
And to be fair, I've forgotten quite a lot of that episode. It was not one of the more memorable ones.
No. The only cool thing about the episode was the whole spooky gem house thing.
The ghost house.
Yeah. But yeah, the other episodes, I think, are a lot more interesting to talk about. So let's go into that.
Definitely.